For homework question 35 from module 12, we're given the following information. We've got 116.2 grams of non-volatile ethylene glycol, and we add that to 329 grams of water at room temperature. They're going to tell you that the vapor pressure of water at room temperature is 23.76 torr, and they ask us to calculate the vapor pressure of the resulting ethylene glycol solution. And for this, we need Raoult's law. That's the equation, and that is telling us that basically the partial pressure of our solution equals mole fraction of our solvent times the partial pressure of our solvent. So we already know the partial pressure of our solvent, right? Partial pressure of our solvent is 23.76 torr. We need to find the mole fraction, and once we find the mole fraction, we can find our new vapor pressure of the solution, of the two mixed together, the water and the ethylene glycol. To find our mole fraction, right, how do we find a fraction of anything? Basically, how many do we have? So moles of solvent, because it's looking for our mole fraction of our solvent. So moles of our solvent out of total moles. So that would be solvent plus the solute. So first things first, we need to find our moles of solvent and our moles of solute. So let's start with water. Water is our solvent. So to find moles, I have 329 grams of water, and I know the molar mass is 18 grams per 1 mole. So I have approximately 18.28 moles of water. Do the same thing for ethylene glycol, and I'm just going to call ethylene glycol EG. I have 116.2 grams of ethylene glycol, and that is 62.07 grams for 1 mole. So I have approximately 1.87 moles of ethylene glycol. Now I can find my total moles, so if I add those two together, I have approximately 20.148 total moles. So I can find my mole fraction, right? My mole fraction equals, well, my moles of solvent, 18.28 moles of solvent over my total moles, 20.148 moles. So my mole fraction comes out to be approximately 0.907. Now I can calculate the vapor pressure of my solution. So vapor pressure of the solution equals the mole fraction of my solvent, 0.907, times the vapor pressure of the solvent, so the pure solvent all by itself, 23.76 torr. Multiply those two together, and I get the vapor pressure of the solution, right? That's the ethylene glycol mixed together with the water. And we know that if you add an impurity to that pure solvent, you're going to decrease the vapor pressure. And so what do we see? We multiply those two together, a new vapor pressure of approximately 21.6 torr. So a lower vapor pressure, that corresponds to what we were expecting to happen. One thing to be careful for when you're doing this calculation, these numbers are variables. So potentially your mass of ethylene glycol, your mass of water will be different. The steps would be the same. We need to find moles of ethylene glycol, moles of water, so we can find the total moles and our mole fraction, and then we can find the partial pressure of our solution.